Hello, welcome to September 18th, 2022. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. I broke my last pair of glasses. I buy these cheap glasses, 3 at a time, and they don't last very long. I would buy a nicer pair, but I would probably scratch them up pretty soon, although I haven't really scratched them on glasses in a long time. Maybe I should just buy a better pair. Anyway, I ordered more. They should be here today. Anyway, I make this video every day to go over my, first thing in the morning, to go over my life objectives and principles and to work on these, tinker with them, kind of like a man with a hobby car in the garage, adjusting the carburetor, checking to see if my principles are in good shape, tinkering with the stereo. How about my objectives? Are they aimed in virtuous, in the direction of virtue, etc., etc.? I also check to see how I did in the last 24 hours, and then I prepare for the coming day. First, last night and yesterday. Though the alarm did wake me up, I did wake up in the middle of the night, not able to sleep. It's the closest I've come to the old problem in a long time. So I can't think of a good reason why. Sorry, I've still got the sleep in my eyes. Might be a little bit of allergies today. But the good news is I did get back to sleep in pretty short order and slept pretty well. But as a result, I'm a little bit tired. I need this coffee to kick in. It's good, strong coffee, the hippie coffee. All right. Yesterday was no wonder I'm tired. It was a tough day yesterday, but why didn't I sleep? Yesterday was a very good and productive day. Yumiko and I went to Long Beach. Well, first we went to Fullerton. We're looking for a new place to live. So we went to Fullerton, to a senior citizen community there, and we were told that we basically couldn't stay. Well, actually, I told. So it was funny. We went to meet Wes at the leasing guy at this senior citizen community, and while we were sitting in the office, I love doing this kind of stuff. By the way, I love looking for new places to live. We were going over the details, and Yumiko, reminded me to mention about Emily. So I did. I said our daughter's in college, between classes, summer break and winter break, she would need to come stay with us. And I was just, I've told this to every place because I don't want any trouble with that. If Emily comes and stays with us for a month, between school. And Wes was very upfront. He was very uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable. That's not the right word. This is a tough one. He could see this was a tough one, because apparently by law, according to state law, I didn't know this. There's 55 plus communities. You have to be 55 plus. So Emily staying more than just a day or so would be a resident. So no, she couldn't do that. Now Wes was willing to pretend that conversation didn't happen. It was so clear he was willing just to move on and give us the tour and everything, pretend like he didn't hear what I just said. But, I guess this is an opportunity to talk about the good life, right? I saw clearly that wasn't the right thing to do. And I simply said, well, it looks like I said out loud to Yumiko and Wes, well, unfortunately, it looks like we've disqualified ourselves based on the fact that we still need our daughter to come back on. I don't want to waste any more of your time. And he was disappointed. We were disappointed, but it was the right thing to do. I mean, fast forward. Imagine that we did get the place and we moved in, and Emily comes to stay with us for a month in the summer. The one thing we do know about these old age communities, because we live in one now, is that the old people that don't have a lot to do are nosy. They would notice. Somebody would notice Emily coming in and out, and that wouldn't do. So it was the right thing to do. So we thanked him for his time, and it would be a waste of his time to show us around if that was the case, and it just wouldn't be the right thing. So, and the good thing is, despite all the differences that Yumiko and I have, we are perfectly aligned in our values, and so me just taking the floor and simply stopping the interview, the discussion, and the tour dead in its tracks. Yumiko was in full agreement. It was the right thing to do. So we did. So we got back in the car and we drove to Long Beach to look at another place, which we were sorely disappointed in. Looked better on the video. It's like like a Tinder date, right? It's like, you look better in your profile photo. Not that I know. That's a stereotypical trope, isn't it? Think about looking different in person than on the curated photo. We didn't like it very much, and I didn't like the owner very much. I didn't. There was something very. She was very curt and perfunctory, and dismissive, almost rude. So when she waited outside, and when we came out, we just said no. I looked at Yumiko. I said, I think Yumiko said it diplomatically. We'll think about it. And I said, nice. And when she asked if we wanted to submit an application, we said no, thank you. It wasn't like she had come there just for us. It was an open house type of a deal where she was just standing outside while people filtered in and out. But we didn't like that place. No, I told Yumiko it was like a lipstick on a pig. Take that for what it's worth, but I'll remember that place forever. But boy, it sure was in the heart of it all. I mean, if this was like New York City, we would have been that would have been like Greenwich Village in terms of, right in the heart of everything, walking distance for Long Beach. It really was a pretty fascinating place in that capacity. If we were, again, this is like the third one since this search, because we're targeting that kind of area. We're targeting coastal, kind of upbeat urban communities. So that's what we're looking for, because we want that. So as a result, none of the places we look at are big like this. They're all tiny little, bungalow type of a deals or apartments and stuff like that, because they're in the heart of it all. Boy, and if we were 20 somethings or 30 something, young urban professionals, yuppies, right, in our 30s, early 30s, before kids come along, that would have been a great place, because we would never be there. We'd be out walking around at restaurants, bars, friends' places, at the beach, doing all this stuff, because it's all right there. It was really neat. But almost 60 somethings, empty nesters, not so much. So. But from there we went. We were kind of strike two, right, in the same day, and we still had that Harbor City place waiting in the wings, because they called us back. The Harbor City place we visited last week, they liked us, and even though they had a lot of applications, they even made an offer. They offered us a lower price, because they really wanted us to come live in their place, which was not a bad place. But again, it wasn't quite. The thing is, it's a back house in a bigger place, which is fine. But again, at our age, maybe 20, we lived in Yumiko and I lived in a situation like that in our late 20s, and we were just fine there. We had a cat, and Neko the cat, and it was just fine. I have a lot of happy memories from that place, but maybe not at this age. It was great in all kinds of capacities. Great, very close to Yumiko's work. But we just weren't sure. But they wanted us. So they offered us less. They offered us a deal. And we asked them, because we knew we were going to look today, so we asked them to give us by the end of the day today, and we did. And we told them, we told them by the end of the day, no. So, no. So we had that one in, so we still had that one in reserve. Now remember, of all things, we could still stay in this place, right? We don't have to leave this place, although we want to, just for the fun of it, try something new. So, but we could. Then we went to Huntington Beach, where we looked at 3 places there, and the second one was a wowzer. We really liked it, and we found 3 units there that we liked. We kind of did a self-guided tour. 3 units that we liked, and we ranked them in terms of order of preference. I think we're ready to make an offer on one of them. Offer. It sounds like we're buying it, just to grab one. So tomorrow, Monday, I'll call them up and see. But first, I have to find out about this place. Now, when we moved into here, landlord. It's a rental management place. They're great. I mean, the guy that runs the place is terrific. I can't get a hold of him. I'm worried he's dead. He won't respond to my texts. Doesn't answer the phone calls because we need to talk to them about leaving this place. I hope he's okay. So I don't know what to do. I guess I'll have to get a Ouija board, contact his spirit, ask about a move out date. That would make a funny title. Contacting our dead landlord. Anyway, let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 32 principles. My first objective is to be always ready to die, to have my life affairs, finances, paperwork, will, all that thing in place. I don't have a will. I guess that's something I need to do, but I don't have anything. I mean, it's like, does a Stoic need a will? Well, that's a stupid question. Stoics doesn't mean you're broke if you're a Stoic. Does a broke guy? So I sustain myself by my good living. I have good earning power, so I make a good living. So I keep things going, and I'm crappy at everything else. And then I'm going to keep us going through retirement because we have a good pension and Social Security. In between the two of those, that's going to keep us going through retirement nicely as long as so I root for America. Even when I were driving yesterday, we were driving down the freeway, and I was telling her, look at all these people, look at all these young people with the kids, go, people have kids, I said, we're going to be fine in retirement because there's so damn many of them, and they've all got to work, and they're going to be paying for our retirement, so just keep it up for another generation till I'm dead, because I rely on the system, right? So wow, what kind of will do I need if I don't have anything but to betroth, to bequeath, that's the word. So, but anyway, otherwise it's all in good shape, right? I mean, the main thing is that I've got this one file that I keep that has all of the important banks information with all the information and passwords, so Yumiko can get in. What else? My relationships are in good order with everybody, I think. I don't think I have anybody that I have a sour relationship with. There's nothing to be resolved, no bridges to be mended. And then my life's work going alone is nearly done. I keep threatening I need to do a little work on one of the chapters there. I'll do it one of these days when the muse strikes me. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time, to not be wasting my time, to have one good day of another, rich and potent in virtue. I like the way that sounds, rich and potent in virtue. Sounds like the labeling of a product. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's exactly the 7 and 32 that I'm working on now, and I do. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to react well to the days and the nights, and namely the challenges. 5, to perform good actions, just to doing good things throughout the day whenever I can. And number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so that I can know when to apply apathy to the things that are outside of my control. And then finally, to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and carefully and deliberately, to try to avoid multitasking. Good. See, I like the way this cadence is going out. This is a good, standard, steady flow. Now, my 32 principles. Well, I could have used a little more of a pause just there. I need a little more margin in my life and in my talk. I think more of the cadence and the thoughtful pauses of an old man. I like that too. I like the other one better. Okay, 1, war. To always be fighting against what I think is true. Fight. Demonstrate, find the faults in what I think is true. Find the weaknesses in my reasoning. Shine the light. Ferret out the dark. the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. To be honest with myself and others, objective in my view, a skeptic, and to be ready to suffer the humiliation of discovering that when I'm wrong, and to be grateful for that when it occurs. Next is the homunculus, the reminder that I do not seem to have a soul, but I do have a consciousness that's going to wink out pretty soon when I die. Very soon, in a relative sense. Next is number 4, the Anchorhold. The suggestion, the reminder, the mental picture perhaps of my homunculus trapped upon the top of the tippy top of a mountain, a sea mount that sticks just a little bit out of the sea, just a little bit tippy tip. And the waves churn and the sea rises and falls and the wind blows and the sun burns. And my little homunculus stands on the top, exposed to it all, weathering away, suffering, at peace when the things are calm and the days are warm but not too hot. Gazing across the waters, there you are on your rock. You're a mountain in the sea, and other people, everybody's on their own. We're all on our own. The Anchorhold is as an absolutely alone place. It's the place inside our heads, between our ears, behind our eyes, that none of us can escape. That each of us will one day go under the water. It's also Mount Wildness. It's the place, the destination, the perennial destination within my book, Going Alone. The place we'll never get to, even if we get there. Next is the principle of purpose. My 3 purpose are: 1, biology, to reproduce, to make a child, see that child into adulthood, and get the hell out of the way. And there's my daughter up there, a year and a half away from graduating university. Got that one almost in the bag. 2, virtue, to be a virtuous human being, where virtue is defined as seeking after the improvement of and well-being of thinking creatures, reducing pain, increasing happiness. 3, the completion and the promotion of my book, Going Alone, available on Amazon. Or you can go to my website, goingalone.org, and buy a copy there, in which case I'll send you a signed copy. Speaking of which, I need to send someone a copy. Maybe I can do that today. Got their copy sitting over there. And the book's done, and I'm promoting. I gotta find more ways to promote it, right? I mean, especially while I'm here. Yeah, before I get back to Japan. Next is atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, atoms, molecules, compounds that are falling to pieces. And very soon, I'm already falling to pieces, I'm almost 60. But very soon, if we get this other place, this place that we're talking about is very close to the beach, Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA. I'm going to get myself a 6'2" thruster board and a beach cruiser with a bike rack. And I'm going to be spending my time surfing after work, like the old days. Huntington Beach is where I learned to surf as a teen. It'd be a great homecoming, wouldn't that? How did I get on that? From atomic principle. Falling to pieces? Oh yeah, like I said, even though I'm falling, it's retrograde motion in a bay, right? Back and then go. Next is nature. Everything has some particular nature, including the nature of old age. To enjoy retrograde motion, moments of seeming improvement in our inevitable downward slide. Man, I see it. It's like a man standing on tippy toes, going in the queue to the executioner. What are they doing up there? Is that what the guillotine? No. What's that device? Hey, there's something going on right over there. Like, no. Let's watch the rerun of Mork and Mindy. No. They're doing something at the front of the line. Mork and Mindy, football, church, God, leave me alone. I'm going surfing. Okay, the next one is the pirate ride. I don't think we have free will. I think it's an illusion. I think it's something that is, we're engineered, not engineered, that sounds like someone engineered us. Nature engineered us for its own ends to have the appearance of free will, because it's not there's no reason to fool us. Slime molds, I don't think, are fooled into thinking they have free will, but they do respond to the environment around them in some way. That's a really good example, actually. The motions and the endeavors of a slime mold are in response to the environmental stimuli going on around them, right? Where they go, what they do, how they orient themselves, how they reproduce, etc., etc. So too you and me. We're just a lot more sophisticated in that regard. We fool ourselves into thinking that we're making choices, but I don't think we are. I think we're just reacting. We're reaction engines. Can't prove that though. I believe it on faith. Okay, after that comes then maturity, is the next principle, and it has 4 sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, or 3, wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. Is that the one? Did I get it right? Trying to understand my own principles. Wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. I got it right. Yeah. So we are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures, and we have the fortitude to do better, and also can enjoy the integrity of aligning our actions with our principles and towards our objectives. Next comes the social principle. We're social creatures. We need each other. We do better when we're men and women of social engagement. That's why I really do recommend finding someone to marry and to have at least one kid with. It's a worthwhile endeavor. I mean, you can have a fine life without it, but there's something to that. Our biology rewards us for that in a way. It's very challenging, but it also deeply rewarding. And there are a couple of sub-principles here. For a social principle, I think it's is it diplomacy? Social principle, diplomacy. I can't remember. Why did I close the book? Justice and conspiracy. That's right. Diplomacy, because to be social and to work well together and to coordinate our efforts, we have to give and take. That's diplomacy. Justice. Justice is where we're working together to seek after the agreed to common ends, better ends. And then conspiracy is that very working together, linking our arm in arm and saying, let's go forward and do right. Where right is an opinion that we hold. And then public speaking is the next one, the next principle. There are 4 sub-principles here. Small words, prudence, rumor, and gossip. Small words is really what that is using just the best words we can think of. It doesn't have to be necessarily be small, but to be conscious of the words, to not be overly flowery and gratuitous in our speaking or writing. Prudence. Prudence is where how does that differ from integrity? Integrity is being sound. Prudence is the engine, again to use that word, of making sound judgments. Integrity is the result of prudence. Is the consequence. Integrity is the consequence of prudence. I like that. Yeah. And then rumor and gossip. I'm not going to tell stories that I have are unfounded stories, and I'm not going to talk about other people behind their back. Next, we've got a 5er, right? Temperance. 5 principles. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror. Too fast. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be borne, and the Feast of Offal. I don't need the book for these. Temperance has 2 sub-principles. Simplicity and suffering and simplicity. Temperance is when we control what we're consuming. It doesn't mean just into our mouths, but what we're doing, the resources that we're consuming, the way that we spend our time, And the reason that suffering is a sub-principle is because we're suffering when we're regulating that. We're telling ourselves, roll it in. When we're at the yogurt store and we're saying, instead of holding it down, holding the machine down, yogurt coming up, making a mountain of yogurt, we stop halfway. That's enough. Maybe just a small little spoonful of sprinkles, rather than drenching the damn thing with it. You get the idea. And we suffer because we want more yogurt, we want more sprinkles, we want more sex, we want more TV, we want more another day off from work, we want more and better of everything, right? But temperance is the suggestion of having a smaller footprint in all things. I like that image. Smaller footprint. Okay, so that's temperance. And then the other part of temperance is simplicity, because a simple life is, by sheer definition, a temperate life. Okay, then the second part of this fiver is temperance, and then life will not go well. It won't. It's messy. It's a retrograde climb. To use that term again, which probably isn't making any sense, but speed bumps all along the way, right? Every day you wake up, you do things are going to bang happen. Flat tire on the way to work. We give a speech and we forget a bullet point on our PowerPoint, or we don't say it just right, or we forget somebody's name when we know we should remember it, or it's just all these little things. They come along. That's life, right? That's life. So I'm just reminding myself to expect that to be the case. Most of it's incidental and trivial, and we won't even remember what it is by tomorrow, let alone next year. But some of the stuff, and this is the next principle number 3 of this fiver, is horror show quality, Jason behind the bed sheets stuff. Is Jason the one that stands behind the bed sheets? Is that Friday the 13th? I see him in my head. Anyway, I hate it. I hate this one because this drags me down. A horror show is the stuff that happens that is, shattering, destroying, killing, world ending in terms of the world as each of us, seems to develop it in our minds. Things like, I use this over and over again, being diagnosed by the doctor with a terminal disease and having just a few months to live, or worse, a year and a half to live badly, go down hard, painful, degenerative life, being diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and knowing the end that's going to come of that. Gosh damn it. And it always draws out bad words. Whenever I go down to this principle, I always want to say 4-letter words. Especially when I think about these things happening to my family. I think of the worst things. And this is the point. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus would have us do this, to imagine, the worst, and to not to dwell upon it, not to use that as an entertaining thought, because sometimes horror can be entertaining, but instead to as a sobering reminder of what might really happen, not just in our lives, but today, this afternoon, this morning. I mean, just for example, while we were just talking, I was doing this video, I heard a strange sound. Now, it very well could be that a home invasion was underway. And maybe it was an invader. Now, they could have come round the corner right there. I'm going to go there. Tied me up. I can't go any further. That's as far as I can go. And did terrible things. This is so hard for me. Epictetus, I'm sorry if I fail you. And the thing I have to ask that Epictetus would say, he wouldn't have us just paint that picture of gratuitous suffering for this mere sake of that. He would ask us, when did you think you were immune to that? Why did you think that your home was able to withstand a home invasion? When did you think that you were so blessed, Kurt, that the home invader wouldn't just put a bullet in your head and bullet in your wife's head and make off with the goods, but instead might do much worse and force you to be a part of that? Gosh, damn. See, I'm starting to go there because this really hits home when I involve my family. When I picture the worst. If I just picture the worst for me, like I say, okay, they're going to tie me up and they're going to cut my toes off with bolt cutters. Yeah, well, it's bad. I can do that. I can do that. And as a Stoic, I can say, well, I can offer them, they say, well, you can ruin my body. You can do that. You can inflict great pain upon me, but you can't reach my inner citadel, where the home and seat of my reason. And I will go down. I will suffer. I will cry out. I will scream with pain as the blood spurts and everything. I won't sit there and just take it. Wait, here, have another toe or have a finger. I'm a man. I'll suffer. I'll die. I'll die poorly. But you will have not reached whoever's doing that will have not reached my inner citadel, as I said before. So, that's, for some reason, it doesn't hit. But when I picture them doing that kind of stuff to my loved ones, that's when I falter. That's when I fall. And I can't do it. All I can do is skirt around it. It's interesting to read the writings of, Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, who would actually go there. Seneca would do the same thing. Epictetus will do the same thing too. Better Stoics than me. That's why they're who they are, I guess. Ooh, I'm all shook up now. But it's good. It's good to be shook up like that, because most likely those things won't happen today. And then what a blessing the day will be that we didn't get a home invasion. I didn't get my toes cut off with a bolt cutter, or worse. That's the horror show. And what I also remember is that it's happening all around me. This street that I'm on is about a quarter-mile length. All up and down this street, the horror show is unfolding in those houses, in those darkened rooms. It's still not even just past 5:30 a.m. Most of it is on a Sunday morning. Almost all these houses are darkened right now. There's horror amidst the sleeping neighbors. Okay, what's the next one in this fiver? So we did Temperance. Temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, and then that which must be borne is next. That which must be borne says we have to bear this stuff, okay? What are we going to bear? We're going to bear the fact that life isn't going to go well, and we're going to bear the fact of the horror show by being stoic, by applying apathy to the things that are outside of our control, and to remembering to keep our inner sanctum secure and beyond what is the word? Compromise, right? By living a life of integrity, living a life of careful decisions, of applying prudence to our decision making that yields in a life of integrity, and a life that is rich in virtue. Again, virtue is defined as the end result being the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures, reducing suffering, increasing happiness and peace. That's a mouthful. Finally, the last one is the Feast of Offal, the last one of the 5, that is. The Feast of Offal is what happens when we do get upset, and we spew that upset out into the world and let everybody know, I got things that, like George Costanza's father, it's Festivus, and I've got things to tell all you people, right? Soiling everybody else with our upset. I don't do that. I recommend not doing it. I internalize that stuff and I burn it up through this effort of this video that I'm making. This does the job. It's like a release valve, steam going out, right? It just doesn't build up anymore. It's not like I'm yelling at you in the camera here, but I'm talking about the hard stuff. Fortunately, the hard stuff really is not as hard as it used to be at 58. The way it was in my 30s was really hard. It wasn't any different. It was just that I took myself and this stuff more seriously then. I gave it more credence, maybe. So that's the 5, right? Temperance, life will not go well, the Feast of Offal, life, that which must be born, and the Feast of Offal. Next is, after that, is the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or, wait, I stumbled, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing, all the while striving to improve. It's an interesting thing, right? I'm okay, here I am as I'm walking down the street towards a better life. Next comes distraction. We spend our whole lives, distracting ourselves with everything that we can possibly think about, our thinking, our friends, our hobbies, our school, our work, our gossip, our play, our sex, our food, our sports, our church, and our God. All of it is just one big distraction. What are we distracting ourselves from, Kurt? We're distracting ourselves from that, the great indifference, which is the emptiness that can be perceived if we go into a desert landscape, a moonscape, something like the Bristol Mountains in the Mojave Desert. Go to Siberia, California. Plug it into your phone app. It'll show up. You can put it in Waze or Google Maps. It'll take you there. Park your car. Point yourself north. Go over the railroad tracks. Go over the berm to the edge. Walk a mile to that high peak up above. When you get up there, would you look out beyond, which is kind of what you're going to be seeing out there. The great indifference is out there. Then forget about my guidance, my direction. If you've got the courage and the stupidity, because it's dangerous, this place will kill you. In fact, just going to the place I told you can kill you if you go in the wrong months. Only go there in the depth of winter. Don't go there during the day. Even the winter can kill you, though. Don't go there in the summer months, or even the spring, or even the early autumn. It'll get you then too. Anyway, if you go out there far enough, better yet, if you find your own mountain, if you find your own desert, you might see, or rather not see, the emptiness, perceive it, and realize that we're alone. That the idea of God is just an idea. We have no soul. There's no afterlife. There's no one looking after us. We're not going to see anyone after we're dead. We're not going to be all rejoice in some paradise or burn in some hell for our sins. There's no one to sin against. The only sins that we can do are sins against our own best values, the best principles that we can put together, aiming towards the best objectives we can formulate. We can sin against those things, but there's apparently no God to sin against. And I can't prove that. It's an operational perspective that I hold based on 58 years of truly questful looking, and no good reason to think that any proposition of God bears any weight, and nor to think that there's any idea that there's anything in us that lives beyond our lives other than our compounds and molecules and atoms that seem to go on, and the energy that they might contain. That was a mouthful. So that's twofer right there. Distraction is what we do so we don't have to see the great indifference, which I recommend seeing if you want to clear away the clutter and say, gosh dang it, I haven't got much time, and there's no one's going to show me the way. I'm going to figure this out for myself, formulate my own principles and objectives, and start living the best that I can and reviewing these on a regular basis. I recommend daily. Okay, there's that. So what's next? Let me look, because this is the area of the book that I tend to stumble on sometimes. Distraction, and there it is. And let's read a quote from Distraction. Here we go. What is the course of life of mortal men on the earth? Most men eddy about, here and there, eat and drink, chatter and love and hate, gather and squander, are raised aloft and hurled in the dust, striving blindly, achieving nothing, and then they die. Perish, and no one asks who or what they have been, more than he asks what waves in the moonlit solitude mild of the midmost ocean have swelled, foamed for a moment, and gone. Matthew Arnold. Yeah. So too, that's our lives. Okay, the next is, I think I mixed it up a little bit because I did the best seat in the house too early, but at least I did it. The next is, we've got another, I think it's a 3 for The Restless Man, The Path of Wildness, and The Great Life Adventure. 3. The Restless Man. That principle suggests that you and I are restless. The restlessness that you may feel, not all of us feel this, or not all of us feel it very strong. The restlessness that we feel towards some exciting life, some adventure, some whatever, is a consequence, an artifact. I can't prove this. This is just my own speculation of our hunter-gatherer past, when young people, particularly young men, were kind of impelled to go seek out new territory, which led to new resources and new water, sources of water, and people to trade with. So it was a good thing to do. It's what helped us to survive. We've got that in us yet. It's a restlessness that kind of drives us on. It's the thing that causes Yumiko and I to keep looking for new places to live every 2 years, because we're restless that way. We enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun as hell. Then what that leads you to is the next principle, which is the path of wildness, which is that avenue that we go on to when we hearken to that restlessness and we decide, well, I'm gonna give it a try. And you step onto the path of wildness, which is a way forward, a way into a new life. It's easy to find, by the way. It's the leaves blown in the wind, the course of a stream, and a beast's track through the brush. And it's the direction of our first inclination. What it leads to, the path of wildness leads to, is something I call the great life adventure. Now, the great life adventure is what we get of the effort that we make to live, to heed that restlessness, and to live our lives the best we can. It's one or more stories that we can have in life that kind of create the substance of our internal story. The trick is, if you feel that restlessness and you don't get on the path of wildness, you don't give yourself a great life adventure, it's going to build and it's going to torture you probably all your life. And then you're going to get to be 65 years old, you're retired, and you're saying, now's the time for the great life adventure. And you're going to book yourself a ride on the Princess Cruise. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was great. I had the buffet and I sat with the captain. Did that do the job? Maybe for some, but I have a feeling that if the thing you were thinking about when you were 25 and you wanted a great life adventure wasn't having a cruise with a buffet and sitting at the captain's table, because you've changed. You're old now. You're frightened. You're scared. You're weak. You're mortal. You sense that mortality. There's something about doing this when you're 25, when you're eager and strong and so seemingly resilient and so seemingly immortal. You have courage and a fortitude there, and a recklessness, a wonderful recklessness that is gonna cause you to, when you're an old man, you're an old woman, you'll have some scars and some stories and some stories. That's the stuff. That's the stuff, and you can only get that when you're young. The longer you wait, the harder it is to do, till it becomes kind of impossible. And then you're golfing all day, or you're going to the let's have a bottle of wine and paint class. I'm not speaking down to these things. I mean, they're fine. There's all these types of older activities that we do to placate this sense of mixing it up. But and for some that's just fine. But that's all they want. But there are others, and I'm one of them, and I know a lot of them because I've been doing these videos these videos on YouTube and talking about this stuff for, a long time, closing in on soon on 20 years. And I've had so many people reach out to me that describe this as well. And I'm telling you that a cruise ship adventure and a round on the golf links and a bottle of wine and a paintbrush ain't going to do the job for the people that are so infected, if I can use that term, with the spirit of the restless man, or woman. Next is the risk of avoiding risk. There are two levels of risk in life: the surface level risks and the deep risk. The surface level stuff is things like getting a good education, finding a good job, finding someone to settle down with and marry and start a family, get a house, and save for old age and retirement. It's hard stuff. It's impressive if you can do all of that and do it well, but it's easier because everybody's encouraging you to do that. Mom and dad are saying, yeah, get that degree, get married that guy or gal, settle down, give me grandchildren. I mean, here's $10,000 for your down payment for your house. I mean, you're getting encouraged all the way. There's a guy around the corner up here that's got this beautiful house, and it's got in the garage, he's got a big truck and a really nice car. The truck's his, and the nice car's his wife. And he stands there. I don't know his story. I'm speculating. He stands there. He's retired. This place is full of retired people. He stands there in the evenings, and he looks out from his garage, his citadel again. And when I walk past with my dogs, he won't look me in the eye. He looks away. I can see him coming down the street, and as I get closer, he turns his vision. And there's no smile on his face. And I don't know. I could be reading this completely wrong. But he's the guy, in my mind, I picture him. He's the guy that assuaged the surface level risks. He got it all. He got the job and the education and the career, and clearly because he got all this beautiful house and nice cars, and he's clearly retired and he must be making an income. So he did it all, right? But there's that 100-mile stare in his eyes, and he seems to never leave the property. Again, I'm reading more into it than I can. I'm painting a picture that I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am, because I've seen it so many times. That's the risk of not going for the deep risk. And what is the deep risk? The deep risk is the effort that it takes to answer the call to find oneself. The hippies were onto something, going out and looking for America, hitchhiking the roads, meeting people, exploring, challenging oneself, coming to the end of resources, and then finding what we can do from there, what resolve and what initiative we can muster from deep within. That does something. That changes. You can have both. That's why I recommend the 5 years from about 25 to 30 is the time for the great life adventure. Got to go to school, get that education. It's really worth it to do that. Doesn't have to be an expensive education. You go to the cheapest state school you can find, but go to the school, get that bachelor's degree, then go on a great life adventure. And I expect that if you then move on and then work on the surface level risk, which there's still plenty of time from age 30, you can work 20 years of a career from age 30 to 50, 30 years if you go to 60, and if you do it right, you can hit the top surface level risk, and you have the little lower level risks. And when you got your garage and your retirement, there's going to be a little lift in your smile, and better yet, you're going to smile from your eyes. Because you did them both. It's tough to do. Good luck. I didn't do both. I went deep on this deep level risk. And as a result, I paid the price on the surface level risk. But that I would much rather be deficient in that regard than the other way around. Okay, the next one, I've got a couple here. Sin and damnation. There are 3 broad categories of sin in my worldview. What do we mean sin? You don't believe in God? Yeah, I don't believe in God, but I do believe that we can sin against the integrity of our principles. So these sins, and we can sin by doing things that are harmful. So these sins are 3 categories, like I said. 1 is being a dishonest person. 2 is being believing things that are maybe untrue. And 3rd one is engaging in rumor and gossip. Ooh, that's the first time I've added rumor there. I'm going to put them together, rumor and gossip. So these are, to enumerate them, there are 7 sins. Falsity, credulity. I said 3 categories, but 7 types. Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and rumor and gossip. Being a liar, believing things that may not be true, that haven't been well vetted, and trading in rumor, and exercising gossip. Bad, bad, bad. We wind up damned in the here and now. Damn it. Next comes, the next principle is called complete oblivion. After we're dead, since I don't think there's any soul, and I don't think there's any afterlife or God or anything like that, we're just dead. So we're not going to have any chance to reconcile, to reunite with our loved ones. No final reconciliation, no final reunion. My voice is going. Well, since we can't reunite with anybody, we won't have a chance to reconcile any differences, so no final reconciliation. And if there's no afterlife and there's no God, then there's no final justice. That. Is there a mosquito? I think I just heard a mosquito buzzing around. Very loud one. It reminded me of the ones in Japan. So watch out. So do these things now, right? Reach out to loved ones. Reconnect. Reconcile differences. And seek after justice. But don't be a vigilante. We're almost there. The season of philosophy is the next one. That's a reminder to, I don't need the book now. A reminder to keep a pen and paper handy so that we can write down what we learn, what comes to our mind, especially if we've lived a rich life. Because later in life, and even younger in life, we'll get ideas. Write them down. And then the bullseye aim, reminder to shoot for the mark. Well, you usually aim for the middle, but usually you're going to miss a little bit, like throwing darts at a dartboard. I mean, nobody expects to hit the bullseye every time. We're not going to get pissed off if we miss the bullseye every time. Why do we get pissed off when we miss the bullseye at work? Once in a while. We have a much better dart average at work. We're hitting much closer to the mark and hitting the bullseye far more often at work. But sometimes we miss and we get all pissed off. A good Stoic would remember that that's unreasonable. Then the uphill climb. Life is an uphill climb. We should trudge, trudge, trudge. Keep ourselves going every day a little higher than the day before. Turning around a little wider vista. There we go. And then arena and utility. Life is an arena, like a kind of a gladiatorial arena where we can wield our principles to use them towards the achievement of our objectives. 2 more. Nothing is enough. We can do much better with much less. Finally, the principle of fun. A reminder to have a good time to the best of our ability. Now, despite the fact that life will not go well, despite the evident fact of the horror show unfolding all around us, despite the fact that the bullseye aim suggests we're not going to hit the mark and we're going to stumble, despite the atomic principles suggestion that we're all falling to pieces after a certain age, about age 25 or so, 24, maybe 23. In spite of all this, let's try to have a good time today. Also, let's enjoy the anticipation of good days to come. Like I'm looking forward to that apartment in Huntington Beach. I recognize we might not get it, but I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. And also the remembrance, enjoy the remembrance of times past. There we go. That's my good life creed. All 7 objectives and 32 principles laid out. Now, the last thing I do for the good life meditation is to think about the coming day. It's a Sunday. It's 5:53 right now in the morning. I'm going to finish this. I'll start this uploading. I'll go over and I'll read a chapter in the Bible. It's in Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel. Then after that, I'll go downstairs. I'll feed the dogs. I'll water the dogs. I'll feed the dogs. Well, of course I water them, and then I'll take them for a nice long walk. I'll bring my book. I'm reading Epictetus's Discourses. I'm going to read the chapter on courage today. And then from there, when I'm done, I'll come home. I'll start cleaning the house. Then Yumiko and I we'll go out. We'll have a nice lunch together today, my wife and I. We'll do our shopping, and then we'll come home and maybe relax in the evening, do a little thinking, try to find that realtor. Maybe I'll get myself a Ouija board. Hopefully he's not dead. But if he is dead, I'll have to reach out to him from the great beyond. Just kidding. I'm sure he's fine. I'm not sure. Stoics deal with reality, right? Thanks for joining me. Be safe, but not too safe.